Welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. It is Tuesday, the day after the 4th of July. I'm tired. Not because I... See, that's the thing, too. You ever do that thing where it's like, there's a certain right amount of sleep you can get. If you don't get enough sleep, you end up tired. If you get too much sleep, you also end up tired. I don't understand why. That's a functionality of the human body. It seems like a bug that evolution should have handled by now, but here we are. With me with getting too much sleep, and I'm still tired. So, what have we got today? Today we have Coromon, which is a video game that I have been, that I've been playing a lot from an independent game that came out on Steam. The scam signs are still up. Signs to be removed after auction. Yep, that was 2 days ago. Signs are still up. 5 of them on one intersection. And the thing is, too, it's like, it says, Notice of Government Seized Property, Certified Exceptional Wealth Collection, Auction, Fine Jewelry, Cartier, Rolexes, Picasso, Brainwash, Dali, Lamborghini, Monet, reservation required. There's a phone number that's not from a Suffolk County phone number. It is a New York City phone number, Queens or Brooklyn. And it says Sunday, July 3rd at 1 p.m. And it says signage will be picked up after everything. Now, if you look at the signs, they don't exactly look legit. They're these bright red signs, and there's no logo on it for what government agency they should be. But it just says government seized property. Also, if they were auctioning off paintings by Salvador Dali or Pablo Picasso, it'd probably be on the news, not just, on yard signs on major roads, and not even major roads in like ritzy areas, because I think that the thought process behind the people who put them up was that this is probably a scam. That'd be my assertion looking at these signs, that it's probably a scam, probably designed to try and be like, oh, you want in, you have to give us what's it called? You have to give us money. You have to pay us however much. That'll be your reservation, and then you can come and you can get your what's it called? You can come and get your thing. But the what's it called? The thing is, it's like they're so obviously not real. It's kind of laughable. And the way they've been installed doesn't exactly make sense for a real government agency to be putting these up. Because, number one, if you're going to be auctioning off this caliber of thing, you'd think you would target, like, the Hamptons or, like, other things like that. Not the fucking middle of Long Island, where it's not impoverished. Like, we're not, like, like, it's, like, the poorest parts of Long Island are still, like, no, they're still pretty, they're not great, but, you do need a car to get around, so I think there is more money, but still not a ton of money, when compared to, like, the worst parts of New York City, where you can get around by, what's it called? We can get around by mass transit. And these signs are put in these places, not in the nicer areas, in the poorer areas. And I guess the thought process is that they're going to try and take advantage of people who don't have money but want nice things, and are going to try and, scam them that way. Because again, I mean, Picasso and Salvador Dali are two of the most famous artists to ever walk the planet, and to have been in recent history. And the idea that both of them have paintings that were seized by government officials and are now being auctioned off here, especially if the government is trying to make as much money from one of these auctions as possible, the path of least resistance to doing that is to auction it to museums. Because museums are going to have deeper pockets than some fuckhead in the middle of Long Island. It just doesn't make sense. Also, the fact that these came out a week after a previous, what's it called? A previous, police auction, because there was an auction last week where they auctioned off a bunch of seized cars. It's not a great look, I don't think. But, whatever. They said the signs would be taken down after the auction. The signs are still up, 2 days out from the quote-unquote auction. And there is no indication that they will be coming down anytime soon. And the people I saw putting it up didn't exactly look like, people who will be working for any government organization. Or driving cars that indicated they work for a government organization. They were blocking traffic in a lot of cases. But anyway, back to Coromon. The Pokemon-like. God, I fucking hate this. The use of "like" to describe genres is something that bothers me so much. But it is, it's basically Pokemon. Now, it's not quite as deep as Pokemon. The bench of what can and can't be done is not quite as, robust as Pokemon, and, even not as much as Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, which came out 30 years ago. I feel like the issue with this game comes down to the fact that there isn't quite enough variety in gameplay. There are plenty of monsters. There's 130 monsters, which is good. 130 monsters is good. But the problem is everything is kind of too similar to Pokemon on the one hand, and at the same time none of it is quite done different enough. Number one, the pixel art style is great, and I love the way it plays. It's cute, and there's a lot of really fun things. You can customize your character, you can, do all that. There are only 8 types in the game, where Pokemon has, I believe, 16 or 17. And I feel like that's to the detriment of the game. The move bench isn't particularly deep or robust, and your monsters will run out of moves to learn by the mid-level 50s, if there are a few that go up to level 60, and you don't learn moves that often. There's also the fact that there are several that, the thing is, if you look at what is in the game, there are a few really good ones, and those will lead your team, and then there are a lot that aren't quite as well balanced. And when you're going to deal with as few types and as few moves as there are in this game, you can do more to balance out everything and make them all work better. There's also a problem where now there are multiple gameplay modes, and which is something that I do appreciate. I do like there's a hard mode, which is what I turned on immediately. I didn't put it on to hardest mode, which is you have to. I don't remember what the difference was between what I'm playing on and the hardest mode, but I'm playing it. It's basically Nuzlocke mode, minus the catch rule, where you can only catch one Pokemon per route. It's the rule where if it faints in battle, it's released into the wild, and that's automatic. You don't have to sit there and do it yourself. It is automatically released into the wild upon fainting, and that's a good way to handle the problem and have it be okay, this is different, and this is all of that. It is also helpful that the game has if you press on the opposing monster's information, you can see their type advantages and disadvantages. The problem with the game also comes from the fact that there are no dual types. Everything is monotype. And a lot of times, visually, what you would think is Visually, what you would think is one type. It's not, especially coming from Pokemon to that, where it's like there is no grass type. So if you look at something, you're like, oh, this should be a grass type. It's not. It's water, and you're like, well, okay, all right, I guess. With the dual typing, and then also a wider variety of typing, would benefit the game in that regard, without making you feel the need to consult with the thing all the time. It's the same thing where like, there's an attack, venomous bees, that you'd be like, okay, that attack is definitely a bug type, but it's not. It's poison because there is no bug type. So there is a certain amount of unlearning, how you've played in the past. And if you're going to play the game properly, you do need to forget everything you know about Pokemon and then go into this. It feels like a different exercise in like, how can we make this game substantially different enough to not get sued, while also make it good enough that people will want to play and make it resonate enough with fans of Pokemon, because like instead of balls, they're spinners. And another thing is, there's not enough. I do really appreciate that you don't need to play with a friend to get everything. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you don't need to trade to get all the evolutions, which is great. Everything is catchable in the game, and that's an important piece of it. But at the same time, I would like some variety in evolution method, because having everything evolve by level, it gets kind of boring. Where it's like, okay, and the levels are all going to be reasonably similar around what time they evolve, and it's like, all right, we're moving on. Some of the battles are not weighted properly in terms of how strong the enemy is going to be. That's not something that's well handled in the game, I think. I think level scaling, it's up there with like Gold and Silver. If you remember playing Gold and Silver back in the day, how it got level scaled, it seems similar to that, where it's like you won't have anything particularly strong, and then you get to, you have to fight a Titan, which is the Titans replace the gym leaders in this game, because it's more story driven and less, go through, defeat the gyms, and then beat the Elite Four. It is go through, defeat the Titans, collect their essences, and then fight the aliens that are trying to take over the Earth. And it's a cool idea, and it's a cool difference, and the idea of doing doing it that way instead of doing it the main way, or the way Pokemon did it, is a good way to separate yourself and distance yourself from the original. That said, I would have liked to have seen the ability to go back and fight the Titans again, which the game does not have. I feel like that would have been an interesting thing, especially if you got the ability to catch the Titans after that, and that would have been, fun. And I think that's something that the game doesn't really have. I do like the shiny Pokemon, or Coromon, in this game are, have a purpose to being shiny and a difference, because that's the higher their EVs, the higher their IVs, as we would use the term Pokemon, it gets shiny, and then there's a second shiny form, if it's got perfect IVs, and that's it's an interesting way. They call it potential in this game. That's an interesting way to do it and have there be a purpose to finding them like that. I will give it that it makes finding it makes finding one type of shiny more common than the others, and it is something like, 2% of the time it'll show up. It's just one of those things where it's like, all right, well, I'm finding this a lot, and you'll find the same one a lot too. That's the only thing. And while it does increase their stats, I've found it's not a negligible difference, but it is a difference where you can be like, all right, well, I'm not going to go here and break my back trying to find a potent. It's like there's normal, there's potent, there's perfect. I'm not going to sit here and break my back trying to find a potent version of this. I'll just, if I find one, great, but I'm not going to go nuts looking for one. That would be that, like that. That's the thing with that. What else is there? Again, not using HMs on Pokemon is also a good thing, especially considering how many HMs. Well, there really aren't that many HMs. That's the thing about this game, is that you don't really have a ton of HMs. It's, there's Burn, which is in your Gauntlet. There's Push, that's in your Gauntlet, and I feel like there's one other one. There's one other one that I haven't gotten yet, but there's also 2 perfume ones, one that attracts lower level and one that attracts higher level. I feel there's another one. Surf, you get to the surfboard, and you get to surf around on it, and I feel like the idea behind it is good, and I like that the random encounters are not constant while you're surfing, and you kind of have to fish to get random encounters. But I would have liked some random encounters, not none. Especially considering there are routes that you're surfing on that the effort now to grind a little bit on those routes before you get to the next Titan fight is not great. Now it is broken up, but it's not kept in what's it called? It's not kept in what's it called? It's not. If you're trying to train, say, an electric type, it's not a great situation to do it in, right there. So yeah. So we'll wrap up there for today. I think that's all we have to cover. What else have we got? No, I think that's it. We'll be back with more stuff as it happens. We got Miss Marvel coming later this week. We got Thor: Love and Thunder this Thursday. I feel like there's definitely, other stuff we can cover. I'll have to look into what else came out. I think there's a new movie on Disney Plus I can look at. We did The Princess the other day. Maybe I'll finally get around to watching Crush. Depends on how I'm feeling. I'm very tired. We'll see how I'm feeling tonight. Maybe I'll watch that and we'll do that. But until then, have a great rest of your week.